This is iRacing.
Skip Barber's racing school operations are based at Virginia International Raceway, so it's only natural that we'd make it at least one visit here for the season. Let's do battle on home turf as we get ready for round 11 of the Skip Barber Sim Series, and you'll see it all live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Craig, I'm glad they're not just here at VIR, but at a lesser used layout of the track.
What a track it is. This is one of those tracks that you don't know about. Welcome, we'll get to see you later, to the Patriot course, and it's going to be a fantastic thing. And if you ever see this track, kind of like a reverse Laguna, but we'll get to that in a moment. It's a fantastic way to introduce people to brand new tracks.
It brings its own unique kind of flavor to this circuit, but while it's become a staple for sports car racing here in the States, some might not be as familiar with VIR, so let's get a closer look with our track guide. Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. Only a short trip away from the state's border with North Carolina, this track has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. After closing for a quarter century, once it was rebuilt, it quickly began to draw major sports car series to its halls. The new owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 5 versions are available on iRacing with a range between 1 and 4 miles in length between them. With that much pavement, the plethora of corners have earned some colorful nicknames. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, the climbing S's force you to thread the needle before spitting you out into the steep drop at South Bend. Then, of course, there's Oak Tree, which sadly no longer sees its namesake landmark on the inside of the turn, but still retains its frustrating difficulty. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery to get the most out of the lap. While passing can be tricky here, the long backstretch nicknamed Madison Avenue and the lengthy front stretch do tend to offer enough of a draft that you can still give a go at a pass. Still, track position is usually an important factor in most races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life. Well, there we get an overview, but let's take a look at the actual track map, which Craig should definitely give an idea of how this changes the character of this place.
Yeah, well, the track, we're using the North layout, so we get the staples of this track, the challenging horseshoe, the NASCAR bend, that left hook, the run up to the snake, and then, well, we go up the hill, literally to turn 7 called uphill, and then head up to part of the Patriot course, and in my opinion, the best part of the Patriot course, because it is all uphill, but it's pretty much flat out, sans one corner, one little quick left right that you have to make a little adjustment for. And it's around that turn 12 area. Then it's to the roller coaster, so it adds the technical aspects to the track, and then adds this really interesting moment on the uphill, because not only is it uphill, but it's getting there. If you've driven through VIR or driven around the track and you get to the snake there, the S's, you see the high banking of the hills, but you've got to climb that hill. And it's not like Kate Bush, you're not running up the hill, you're trying to make sure you slide up that hill. It's single file out there today. It's a place nobody sees unless it's a production car challenge special event.
Yeah, it's not as frequently used even here in the sim, even though it's a little bit easier to set up than it would be in real life. Now, as for today's event, since it is a shorter lap, we're going to do more than we typically would do here at VIR. So expect it to be 15 laps instead here today for what is the penultimate round, round 11 out of 12. However, we do have a spare car if the drivers find themselves with any sort of damage, but with no scheduled pit stop. that's really going to be a death knell to your hopes of a victory. They also have open setups in this series, and that can help the car handle better, but there's not much you can really do to find speed per se. It's more just about tweaking it to your liking. They have a DQ at 17 incidents still, but this takes away some of what little paved runoff they have added in recent years at this track. So you're probably unlikely to get close to that margin unless you're really cutting some corners a little bit tight, a little bit too frequently. So as we take a look at qualifying here in a moment, looks like we're just waiting for those first times to hit the board.
Yeah, Ricardo Espinado Martinez, the first time out there, and they're not real representative times at the moment. You're looking about 1:35, 34, really, for some of the lap times, and it is a stack field out there. 4,343 is the strength of fielders. We're seeing some of the normal part of the track here as we're going by, and into the S's they go, and then out of nowhere, see that hill just to your left? Well, you're about to go up the hill. And it's very interesting because it's a very hard braking when the track just opens up a little bit. Under the bridge you go. And then here comes the braking up that hill. And this is where the fun starts. You have a little bit of runoff there, but that's about it. After that, you're on your own, making sure you just keep that flow. And it does level off, but I feel, Joe, to my opinion, that the Patriot course allows a good run to the roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a straighter run, I feel like, so hopefully should be somewhat easier to kind of line it up as opposed to the full course where it takes you around a kink and over a crest. It can be so tough to try and get it in the proper position, but unfortunately it does mean that you're going to have a hard time trying to make passes there, unfortunately. Let's see what Tiro does on his first time across the line as we still are waiting for anybody to set a time. Tiro's is a 36 flat. Let's see how everybody else does in comparison. Vlado Tito tends to be quick, so watch out for him when he puts one down. Josephine Becker manages what is initially second, but gets slotted down to fifth. Rory in the number 3 goes up to P2, only half a tenth off Tiro, who remains on pole.
And P2 is not a nice place for Ramos because the last race these guys did, or these drivers did, apologies, Philip Burke won the race by 0.025 to Rasmus Viori there. Look at the gap that Rasmus got now, 0.047. Needs a little bit more time. That number 1 car actually was 2 seconds behind. So that just gives you an idea. It's going to be a close run because of that start-finish line. So these qualifying times are a little bit vital because you would like to get up the field early so you don't have to do all the fighting through the field at the start of the race. You know, it's not a long race here when you think about 15 laps around a 90-second track. So Vlado Tito, he knows how important it is to really work this track, really go for it. And you can just see, it's never dirty out there. You've got to drive hard, though. But I'll tell you what, he's got to drive really hard because he's gone very wide there at that 12 to 14 complex.
Yeah, it does look a little tricky to try and line it up, even though it's a little bit straighter than before. You're definitely pulling a lot of different directions up that hill. That was a good illustration riding on board with Vlado. He has not set his first time. He should have enough time to come around for that second one. Heighton in second lap is down to a 35.5, but Tito reaches that timing line here on the curve front straightaway. Oh, but he had an off track somewhere. That lap got deleted.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He does have time to do another, but need that. I'll tell you else, Philip Burke has yet to set a time. He's just got out the pits. So he's only going to be able to get one chance. I think he had to do a restart to the sim or something. So he only gets one shot at qualifying. And this is the man who was pole and won the race last time out. Just dips a quick tire there on the exit of the hog pen at 17A. Nothing to worry about. But this is this long straight because we've seen it before at VIR and we've seen it in the Mazdas. We've seen it in the GT3s. You name it, we've seen it. If you get the lead coming out the hog pen, you've got to be very careful because you may lose it on that start. It's a very long start line.
So Gargar is 18th, but make that 13th as he jumps up with a 36.8, so not too bad, about 1.2 off the pole time. What about Alberti who's currently in 17th. He's on his second flying lap, has plenty of time to get across that line as he heads down through the roller coaster. His lap at about a 1:37.4, and that's close to 2 seconds off the pole time. But like we said, this is the top split, so those that are up here are already going to be your very fast shoes. So as he takes the sort of faux Benetton across the line, let's see what this one looks like. 37.2, 2/10 quicker, but he only goes up to 16th.
Meanwhile, though, Vlado Tito takes pole position. And right at the end, he just turned the nose in to the line to try and get a little bit more time. And a fantastic lap. But the response now will come from this man, Philip Burke, who is doing the similar. He's just making sure he keeps this on. He knows that it has to be a lap. If it isn't, he's in trouble. And I'm just wondering, did he get an off track? No. Look at the fighting he's doing round the hog pen. Still doing more fighting not to get the off track. I don't know what this is going to be in terms of a representative time, but he needs something good to be at the front here. What can the number 5 man do? He should be getting ready to have his turkey. Instead, he's going to have a 1:36.2. Not where he wants to be.
That's only 10th place. It looks like that second lap was an improvement for most drivers. So unfortunately, whatever plagued him that prevented him from getting that first lap time, he's really paying for it now. This is Ian Hall. He's already taken both of his laps, and he's going to be starting in the 16th spot with a very classic livery on his machine with the old Marlboro up there. But as we wait for the clock to tick down to 0, that will officially now end our qualifying session of 21 cars taking part in this penultimate round. Vlado Tito has denied a pole position to Tiro Heitinen as we take a look at our starting order. So Vlado Tito on the inside of that front row will be flanked by Heitinen. Then in third, it will be Martin, with Vori in the 4th spot and Jeff Randall starting from 5th. Mike Van Alst will be P6. Ricardo Espinela Martinez, he'll be in 7th. Xavier Sanchez in P8, and Gonza Garcia Aguilar will be 9th, while Philip Burke will only start 10th today.
Bit of a surprise there for the number 5. 11th will be Pablo Rodriguez Hogla, with Josephine Becker taking 12th. Peter Suapanki will be the unlucky 13th, with Herman Suarez in 14th. And Alejandro Gaga we did see in 15th, followed by Ian Hall in 16th. Then Sergei Puria will be in 17th. Franco Alberetti will be in 18th. Daniel Brandt 19th. Alex Otero will be 20th. And one man just on the last page on his own, Marcus Dolmer, will be 21st.
All right, we can often see some frantic runs down into the horseshoe. Will anybody run afoul of tripping over one another right at the get-go? Even though these cars won't be going nearly as fast as some more higher power machinery that tends to race around here, both in real life and the sim, it still is a bit of an issue. Looks like we've almost got everybody gridded up. We're waiting on Philip Burke. I hope he didn't have more problems out there before he put himself on the grid. And then Dorner is the other driver that we're waiting on for our cue to start to rev the engines. And still, we do not see them. Now they get a total of 2 minutes. Otherwise, they will be forced to start from pit lane if they don't grid up within those 2 minutes. So they're starting to run out of time here, Craig.
Yeah, time is ticking, and I hope there is nothing wrong there for the drivers, but we're just still waiting. Mark is still not there. Mark is finally onto the grid, and then goes. Phillips also there. I think we're getting ready.
Yep, the engines are starting to rev as the lights are up and the green flag is out. It is a decent start for both Vlado and Tiro up at the front. Same thing for Martin, who actually gets a slightly better launch and starts to look down to the inside, almost pulls pulley alongside the fin. Can he take the spot away? Yes, he can. Moves into P2 right at the first corner.
First corner, he takes that brilliantly, and that allows him to just get a few positions. Heitinen not having the best of starts, and they're still having to fight out there. Number 6, Randall with a lot of slides as well from Martinez, and he just backs everybody up. They'll be 3 wide into the left hook, and Javier Sanchez is the man who takes advantage from that. He is all the way up straight away into 6th position.
That was a huge moment for Ricardo. Good catch and good job on everybody not running into the side of him. Now, for the first time in anger, the field heads towards the uphill. You can see decently heavy braking, but still going to be tough to try and make this pass. And here's where they almost have to go single file.
Well, it's not a case of have. They have to full stop because there's just not enough room. Maybe at the end in desperation, but you want to make sure you stay with one another so you can get that slipstream on the start-finish straight. And with the gap, that slide there at the start of the race there at NASCAR Bend kind of just split open the front of the field. So they're going to have to look to almost work together. You can see them all trying to go side by side except for the back of the field. Hoglar trying to make some moves as well and does so. Not the best to start for Hoglar. A lot of drivers actually losing out so far. And I think as well, Gaga, yeah, Alberti not having the best of time either. He's lost some time, but here we come onto the straight show. This is where it's going to be won and lost.
Already up at the front, you can see them kind of dicing up there to position themselves, knowing that that first corner is going to be the best place to try and pass. Meanwhile, Sanchez very close to Van Alst. In fact, they're going to bang wheels a little bit coming out of the horseshoe. You can't get away with that too much here in these open wheel cars, but they will this time.
Yeah, it looked like Javier got overtaken there from Van Alst, and then Van Alst locking up just caused some issues. So we're going to go on at the hoop cam here for Javier Sanchez just to see what he sees. And going side by side here is not fun. Trying to get away from the side by side, but again, more times you battle back here, the more issues you're going to have. Javier really trying to find a look here, but there's nowhere to look for a movement. You go to the uphill at 7. You really want to just look for your opportunities to get some momentum. And again, look at him struggling with that grip. Car's sliding a little bit. Sergei Courier and Alejandro Gaga already towed and had an incident. One of them retired the car.
And apologies, it was Burke and Van Alst that made that contact through the first corner there. Meanwhile, heading back up to our top 3, Tito ahead of Martin. Heitinen has not been able to retake the position yet, and they still have Rasmus behind them in that number 3. That's where they finally get a little bit of a break to P5. Jeff Randall has dropped off.
Yeah, and that's just what they want to see. They probably want to just keep it between the 4 of them. Just use that to their advantage to basically just control the field and control what they want to do. You start to see a little bit of fanning out when they come to braking here for the horseshoe. You can go around the outside, but it sort of crowns itself there, so you can't really do much. Van Alst still trying to battle Javier Sanchez. Javier tried to go around the outside there, but as you can see, because of that crowning at the edge of the horseshoe there, it's so tough. And remember, if you go off, like most of the track, the dip there on the grass, well, it's a long way back up, and I don't mean going up the uphill.
Exactly. It's going to send you careening towards that Armco a long ways away, just because it is downhill off of the track. It makes it hard to slow down. Sanchez and Van Alst still together here in P8, sharing a livery today, so not sure if there's some teammate action going on, but Sanchez is going to take a poke to the inside. Van Alst goes too deep into the corner. He'll get it slowed down without hitting anything, but a stream of a train of cars goes by, and he falls all the way to 15th.
Well, they may not be the Benjamin Hedges Hondas or whatever brands are available. They may not be the VIR Arrows. However, that did feel like a Ralf Schumacher, Damon Hill moment. That's what happens when you fight in the rain. Just losing the car a bit there. I wonder if he just locked up the rears, tried to turn in too much. You do want to slide these Skip Barbers, and I think he may have just went a bit too much there to try and get the turning in on the braking, and may have cost him, but down into 15th. Meanwhile, these 4 still battling, and now the gap between them and Jeff Randall is 2 seconds, and this is what they want to see. 35.5, 35.5, 35.3, and Ramos, as you can see, was a 35.3. But Burke takes that spot back. Keep an eye on him. He's 4 seconds behind Joe, and he is catching.
Trying his best. He knows he cannot lose touch with that front group too much, or else it's going to be hard to catch them by the end. Only 15 laps here, which is just over about a half-hour race typically for this series. Heitinen, I wonder if he's just not bothered too much by this, or if he's genuinely lacking pace. That's 2 positions lost in the early stages of this event.
I think it's just playing it smart. I think he realizes that this is a draft track. This is a track, well, most Skip Barber race is a draft track, but I think this is one of those that he wants probably just wait for the right moment. Let's look at a replay of what happened here with Courier. This is the incident at the start of on lap 2. with Alejandro Gaga. And interestingly, I think he may have just slowed down or had a hardware issue there. And yeah, one driver didn't realize what was happening because they don't have brakes and goes into the back there and thankfully didn't collect anybody else.
Yeah, it's brake lights that they lack, yeah, it's hard to sell sometimes if the driver ahead is suddenly making a slow maneuver. As we check back in with Hoglar here, he sits amongst a whole bunch of cars being led by Aguilar in 9th place, doing his best to try to run away. But this is the straight that is causing him a headache because everybody pulls that slipstream. In fact, Suarez and Becker going to swap positions a little bit as we jump back up to Burke. He's caught Randall, and he gets very close of trying to look to the inside down to turn 1, but no dice.
Yeah, I think he thought the door was just opening there, but the horseshoe, if you know what line rock is like, that is the turn 1 for the horseshoe here, just a little bit tighter. It's almost a double apex, and it's a tight opening, and then it's a wider exit. But it is a turn 1 and turn 2. Just want to make sure that you just get a good line, and sometimes you compromise the apex at 1 to get the right apex and run at 2. And I think Philip probably was being a little bit cheeky there to look for a move there as he's trying to engage a mistake here. And I don't think he'll get a mistake right now. You just see he's just playing patient. The more time he wastes here, the more time he loses to the front 5. But I don't think he's that worried because this is Jeff Randall, this is Philip Burke. I feel that Burke, he has the pace this week, and he's been showing it all week.
He is just over 3 seconds behind him, but that is going to be tough to make up. And as we've seen, Jeff Randall is slower than the leader, so I kind of feel like he does need to hurry up and get by this car, or else he's going to continue to lose ground. So as we come out of Hogpen, is this where he finally makes the move? Because he gets a good run, and he's going to look to the right-hand side. Randall tries to shut the door, but it's too late. And he's got the momentum. He's got the nose ahead. This might be job done.
Yeah, let's just watch it and probably see if Randall wants to try and go around the outside of Horseshoe. Not doing it this time, and I don't blame him. That was good because he kept it tight through the Hogpen at 17 and 17A. And now he's catching this train. This train of, well, not Danes, but two Finns, a Spanish man, and Vlado Tito from... I want to say the Czech Republic. I can't see the right name, but you've got the 4 drivers here all just pushing on. And they're actually slower last time out than Philip Burke. That's encouraging. We've got 11 laps to go. And I do feel that Burke can get it on. Josephine Becker, every time we see Josephine Becker, she's in some fantastic battles. She's stuck in a big queue right now. Suarez, Angular, Hoglar, Becker, Serpanki, Hall.
Tito from Croatia, for what it's worth, our leader currently. But this group with Becker, one of our German drivers, like you said, has been giving us tons of action as of late in a variety of series here on GSRC, and just going from strength to strength. But if she wants a top 10 in this top split, she's going to have to pass a couple cars. And it does look like it's a little bit frantic. As soon as you go on the attack, Craig, the car behind is immediately trying to pounce if you don't make the pass successfully.
And she just had a small mistake there at the top of the roller coaster at 14, where just one of the wheels locked up. I think she tried to turn it a bit too much, slid it a little bit. So now trying to follow the exit here, but we got to get back to this lead battle because every time we see this, there could be a chance for an overtake, and a lap car lets them all by, but nothing yet. And I feel they know the situation right now because Burke is catching. Suarez gets past Hoglar. They're battling side by side as well, and almost coming together into the hook themselves. And is that going to be a move to try and get around the outside for Hoglar? It's tough to do it. Almost made it. Could not get it done.
And the rest of them behind were coming barreling in, some locking up the brakes. Unfortunately, it looks like that has lost Becker a couple spots. She's down to 14th now. Oh, big look to the inside. That was ambitious from Aguilar, but I doubt that was ever going to work. Thankfully, they did not come together. We hop on board with Gonza with the roll bar cam, and he has to wait through the snake single file.
Yeah, there is a chance right here. There's a chance if you get a good run, but it's tough. And I think Hoglar realizes it because he compromises and he defends to the inside. And Aguilar decided, no, I'll follow you as well. I'll take that shallow line. So Hernan Suarez right behind them is threatening as well. Becker getting another position back. In fact, give a shout out to Josephine, That was actually done through the Patriot track there. Paul just went a little bit wide. That's fantastic. She's going to catch up to these guys battling. But you can just see how much space you've got to work there, Joe. There's not a lot, and that is so important that you just stay with the runner.
Yeah, the Patriot course is extremely narrow. Usually, it's not actually used for racing. It's used for high-performance driving training, typically in the real world. But obviously, you can race it here. Another good run. And I think maybe this is what Gonza has been waiting for, unless Hoglar is very deep on the brakes. As we got Jeff Randall going wide, we switch back to this group 2x2 into the first corner. Hoglar will hold off Gonza. Once again, the 11 having a heck of a time making this pass stick.
Yeah, he just can't make this work, and got to be careful that he doesn't get caught up from behind. No, Randall went off a little bit there. I think he braked a bit too hard on the back of Philip Burke, locked up the tires, and had to go off onto the grass. In fact, this is one of the, well, it was one of the replays, but that was what happened as we saw with Hoglar there. Herman Suarez in this train has a slowdown. You can get that. Just doing a bit too aggressive cuts there out of turn 5, and you can serve it, but not the best of places to serve. In fact, somebody goes off wide. Here's with Jeff Randall. I think that was Herman Suarez. Yeah.
It was indeed. Outbraked himself. I'm not sure what exactly was going on. Van Alst side by side with Becker, and Becker again is not shy coming through the Patriot course. She holds off another car. In fact, I think that was a pass for position. About the only driver we've seen making passes in that part of the course.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. No, last time by it was, but this time by it was actually just holding the position. So really interesting to see them all battling here. But at the front of the field, now we're finally getting some battles. And Ramos has a double toe, and he's going to try and go around the outside of the horseshoe. This is tough. Slides it. Still slides it. Still got a little bit of overlap there on Vlado Tito, but can't make it stick. Tito will have to defend going into the NASCAR bend, though. Is he going to do a Richard Petty and go off? No. The inside does work strong, but that outside line flows so well here out of turn 3, and still more fighting. This is good for the viewers. This is bad for these four because they know behind they're catching.
Yeah, Burke is so much closer now, only 1.7 seconds back. This is only going to continue to cost them time. Just a little bit too much curb there, almost coming together there between our top two. Make that a 3-wide move, coming into the break into the uphill, down the inside. Martin decided if they're distracted with each other, now's my chance. He gets a 2-for-1.
Well, Ramos tried to do a 2-for-1. It was actually Martin who did the 2-for-1, and that was fantastic. And we were saying all through the broadcast, that part of the snake, it opens up. You've got the space to go 3-wide. Even though Tito was pushing him close to the grass, there was enough room for him to make some moves there, but look what it's done. The gap between Heitinen and Burke is less than a second now, and he's also brought a certain Spaniard, Javier Sanchez, is right behind. This is going to be a 6-car tussle for the end of the race.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's more than we expected that suddenly are in the thick of it. Tito fights back on Martin and tries the outside, but Vori is going to once again attempt to try and make it a fight for the lead. He breaks a little bit earlier from around the long ways with Martin to his inside, and it's not quite going to work the same. Heitinen continuing to just kind of wait in 4th place. Is he actually going to attack? No, it looks like he's fallen back again. So again, what is the one doing and thinking right now?
Probably just having a song and dance in his head while he's just making sure everybody is just keeping clean. And I think he just wants to be there at the end with 6 to go. So maybe in a couple lap time he starts to attack. But the problem is, if he doesn't go for an attack now, Burke's right behind him almost. Burke could catch up and really look for a move. They come in again to the uphill. And you just see the different lines in order, the different paces, the different, maybe even different setups here. Some of the drivers, one thing we've not talked about, I know there's a little wing, but I wonder if they're just trying to trim out the car a little bit more just to get a little bit more pace, because it was interesting how easily Tito got past Martin there at the start, but they're starting to bunch up again as they come through the horseshoe, Joe. Nothing changed, but you feel something's about to pop off.
Yeah, and it's 6 to go. Well, make that 5 to go here in just a few moments as they approach the start-finish line again. And it's about almost 4/10 of a second between Martin and Tito. Let's watch to see where he is at the start-finish line. How far back can he be and still challenge for that victory? Not that far back. He wasn't side by side, but behind him, Vori is going to get one. Is there another double on the cards here as he goes the long way around the horseshoe? Tito rebuffs him, said, no, you don't.
No, but I saw that Martin decided no point fighting it, allowed them to go for the fight, but he just can't again. That's probably the third or fourth time he's had to try and do it around the outside of the horseshoe, and there's no downforce in these cars to really allow yourself to work with it. So he just has to just hope he can get the throttle, hope that Tito doesn't go for the slide, but he's back in second, and you do feel that now we've seen overtakes are possible at turn 7. Is he going to go for it? He does. The door was left wide open for him, and he's going to say thank you very much. Up into turn 7 he'll go. He'll have to defend the over-under. Does it very well. Fiore is up to the lead.
Just timed that to perfection. And same thing with Tito. He saw an opening between P1 and P3 and just pushed his car into the gap, not wanting to lose more spots there. Here comes Burke. It's down to half a second as they go over the roller coaster. This time, for sure, they're going to have the pull down the main straight. And again, Sanchez is still with him. What does Burke do now that he's caught the lead? Does he immediately try to get track position, or does he pull a Heitinen and wait?
No, I think Heitinen, he has to attack now, and if he doesn't, Burke's going to do the attack for him. Welcome to Peloton Racing, because someone in this pack has to be the lead attacker. Someone has to go for it. And once again, with a lot of overspeed, Tito's going to go around the outside. Is there anything he can do that Fiore could not do? A lot of locking up, a lot of sliding, and level they go. And I think he may have got this done thanks to that overspeed. A little bit challenging, but they'll go side by side through 2 into NASCAR they'll go. And yet, Fiore cannot make that work. Tito did, Ramos couldn't. This is perfect for that Burke and Sanchez right behind.
Lotto just covering the inside slightly down into the left hook to make sure Rasmus doesn't attempt to take it back. Burke was fighting with Tiro to try and take that 4th place. Couldn't make it stick. That was off camera just behind this group. Here we go again. Tito defending up into the uphill. Rasmus going to try the long way around this one, and I did not think that was going to work, frankly. He's got to watch out. Martin is very close behind.
Yeah, and the last thing they want to do is make a mistake going the uphill to then lose time battling up through the Patriot Course section here. So you want to make sure they're right behind to look for this. But look at this, weaving 6 cars halfway through the race. We weren't expecting it to be like this. We thought the top 4 were just in a league of their own. But you've got to give the hats off to Philip Burke and also Javier Sanchez for following Burke to get up to the front here. Now you've got 6 cars on a track we did not expect to have this many cars battling at the end. And I got to give a shout out to this track, Joe. We weren't expecting to see overtaking opportunities at turn 7, but these cars, being small, nimble, and mighty, they've done it.
Yeah, if you're brave and if you get some cooperation, it looks like you can make it work. Now the 3 is going to take that top spot back. He's on the outside, though. Whoa, they almost make contact through the corner. I think they'll get away with it. Meanwhile, behind them, Burke and Tiro are finding themselves going wheel to wheel for that 4th position once again. But Heitinen's got that inside line as they leave inches between all these cars. Somebody is going to be crying by the end, and this time they actually do make contact.
But thankfully it was wheels on wheels. It wasn't overlapping wheels. So it's just a little bit almost like you're just trading paint in a GT car. And he's got that move done. Brilliant slide around the outside of NASCAR there from Burke to make that, set that move up in Heitinen. And now you see Sanchez looking for that move. Heitinen is too passive here if he wants to make it. They're going to go side by side for P5. And I think they're going to try and go side by side all the way through the Patriot Course. Can't make it. Sanchez has to yield. But now with 2 to go, Burke is up to 4th. He sees the leaders, and they've been slicing and dicing for the last 20 minutes. Something has to give, and I think Burke, he's not just going to just pop the champagne cork. He's actually going to smash that bottle against the wall.
Certainly looks like he has eyes on the win. Meanwhile, Heitinen's actually dropped off the back. Unless he starts to hustle, they're already 0.8 of a second behind. I think something is amiss, either through pace or just from damage on the number 1 car, that he's no longer in it. Meanwhile, wheel to wheel once more for the top spot. Martin lifts a little bit early, decides he doesn't want to get involved in the battle. A little bit of a lockup on the rears for Tito. That's going to cost him some grip through the right-hander of the horseshoe, but he's still got the inside for NASCAR.
Still got the inside, but we've seen how strong the outside can be. But Tito holds that position, gets it done, but it allows Burke to catch up once again. And Heitinen and Sanchez catches up again. So the battles are good, but they know that one mistake here is not going to cost them 1 spot. They're looking at almost 3 to 4 spots to be lost here. So this is where now turn 7 turns into such an important corner. Ramos is going to have to run. He's going to have to try and break it late up there for the uphill and cuts off the run. And rinse and repeat. Leaders swap position once again. And there's only 1 more time down onto the start-finish line.
Exactly. And that leads me to our traditional question in this series, Craig. If you were coming to the white flag or to the checkered flag at Hogpen, which position would you want to be in?
I've always said on a slipstream track, and especially in the Skip Barbers, Joe, 3rd place is the one you look for. Is that going to mean that the number 4 car of Martin, is he going to have a look here? It's interesting. You've got the number 2 car, the number 3 car, the number 4 car, the number 5 car, all battling for that battle. The number 1 car slightly behind, hoping for a miracle. But this is going to be interesting, Joe. This is chess. Are you going to allow them to take the position now, or are you just going to fight it? I'll tell you what, I think the answer is fighting, and they almost went 3 wide. Tito takes the lead. Look at Burke. They've all made mistakes.
Oh, going way too deep into the corner. For what it's worth, Tito did not lead at the line, or at least the second place car that was coming up from the back there did not make it in time. They're going to go 2 by 2. In fact, 2 by 3, as even a fight between Sanchez and Heitinen behind them rages on. Meanwhile, Rasmus not giving it up. He rebuffs Vlado Tito, and here comes Martin. He sees a chance to get involved. They're going to somehow make it 2 wide down through the snake. This is so sketchy through here, and he'll get away with it. Philip Burke, does he have enough space between them? He wants it, but the door is shut.
Door was shut, and you've got to think that he knew that door had to shut, but he had to do something. Little bit of wheel banging here as well. Nowhere for them to go. This is great if you're Rasmus Fiori. You're seeing everybody else battle. This is going to be fantastic for you. Still looking for positions. Look at Philip Burke go! Philip Burke out of nowhere through 11 and 12. Takes the P3, and now this could be a run that he needs. They need to catch up, though, as they come down the roller coaster.
I think Rory has put himself too far away. It's half a second at this stage. Remember, we figured out 4 tenths behind. If they have an equal run, it's just not enough. There's Hogpen. Rasmus is up at the front. He played them like a fiddle today. Nobody was able to keep up when it mattered at the end, and the number 3 is going to take the victory here at VIR.
What a victory as well. Had to work for that as well. Making sure that he made positions at the end. Blows the engine in celebration. We still got more battles going on right behind. As you can see, Van Alst will hold off into 9th. Hoglar will take that 10th. As the drivers just continue on. Ian Hall, last man to really look for a battle. But here's one. Alex Otero trying to get onto Daniel Brandt. They're trying to do the best they can. But I think Brandt may have had a little bit of a tap there going into the line. They did indeed. That's unfortunate. But sometimes it's just a little bit chaotic when you're on a little sprint to the finish line.
Ooh, that was a hard one to call there at the end. Until we get to that last corner, I could not tell you who was going to be our winner. But fantastic stuff from the number 3 to come away with the victory. Let's take a look at our results here today. Vauri is going to wind up taking the win after starting from 4th on the field, rather. Martin will take P2, and Vlado Tito, despite starting on the pole, is only 3rd today. Philip Burke, what a recovery from that qualifying incident. Comes home P4. Heitinen was 5th and Sanchez 6th. Then it's Jeff Randall P7, Martinez in 8th, and Van Alst 9th. Hoglar gets a top 10.
Just falling out the top 10 and down 2. Gonza Aguilar will be in 11th. Josephine Becker, a net 0 today, will be in 12th after all that battling with Herman Suarez into 13th. And Ian Hall into 14th, and then Peter Suopanki will be 15th. Daniel Brandt goes up 3 into 16th, so does Alex Otero, but it will be 17th. Franco Alboretti will be net 0 at 18, then 1 lap down, took the fast repair after that crash and came back out. Sergio Poirier. Alejandro Garga did retire the car after that crash, though, and the last man, Marcus Dorner, had a connection drop at the start. That's what happened, and did not take the start line.
Unfortunately, we didn't get all 21 to be able to race today, but 20 was plenty for a lot of action out on track. And, we had high expectations. I think high anticipation, Craig, coming to this North track, not getting to see it as often. And I want to see it more. I want to see more series with these lower powered cars give a go at these sort of club courses on the racetracks on offer on iRacing.
And that's what they're there for. They're there for these smaller powered cars, the Formula Ford, the Duction Car Challenge. Some of these cars are fantastic for this track. It's just one of these tracks that delivers as well, because it is a bit too tight if you've got modern day fast cars. But when you put these smaller cars in, you just get some fantastic driving. And this isn't the only track that's got a small club type layout as well. You look at the Silverstone, for example. You look as well at Red Bull Ring. You look at some of the modern big grade 1 tracks. They've got these national layouts, and this is what anyone would love to drive because they use this in the real world.
Exactly. It just brings something fresh and new to the table, I feel like. So the drivers obviously have had a fun time, but it looks like, as usual, we're not looking like anybody's hopping in. A bit of a shame. One of these days we'll get them to come and chat with us, Craig, but I know this is more of a U.S. thing, but a happy Thanksgiving from me. I doubt you're celebrating, but enjoy your Thursday.
Yeah, no, enjoy your Thursday, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone else over the pond. It is football day, so I think people will be watching some of the football. But of course, one thing as well, they're getting ready because, they don't do it in Australia. We'll have a barbecue next week because the final race of the season will be at Bathurst, and that's going to be quite interesting. A huge difference to what we saw here.
Yeah, and these cars at Bathurst, you could see multiple times of passing down those long straights, up the mountain, down Conrod. The cars give off a powerful tow, and it creates just absolutely unpredictable racing on top of the mountain section, which is a serious, serious challenge. And speaking of that, why don't we take a glance at our next time for this series with Bathurst on December 4th at 1:15 p.m. Eastern. And that is for the finale as well. So what a way to wrap things up at one of the most challenging circuits literally in the world. Make sure and tune in for that one. We've also got the Grand Prix Legends heading to Le Mans, another legendary track that's going to be on Saturday. Make sure and tune in for that, as well as all of our other broadcasts that you have on the screen. Thank you so much to Craig, Daniel, and Dougie. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.